does that from time to time. Yo, up, guys? Welcome to Rebels Capital, aka Negativity with Success. And yes, came with another video. Today's the 17th of March, 2026. It's a Tuesday. Yeah, man. So if you like the video, please click like, subscribe. Yes, no, maybe so. Let's go, man. Let's get into it. So today's the 17th. Everything is a bit like cautious and choppery amongst the US Iran conflict fallout. Oil is another big story today. It's still elevated, and people still have like inflation fears coming back. Today, people are watching the traders, to be specific, home sales data and also the treasury auctions. Let me just show you if you don't understand what that is for a second. So everyone has this economics. So it's basically like basic economic numbers, if we might say that. So yeah, man, that's what people will be watching today. It's this one. It's happening in 15 minutes, 56 minutes to be exactly. Pending home sales for the month and the pending home sales index, right? And then you have your auction. That's like your 52-week bill auction, the 20-year bill auction, and yeah, man, that's it so far. So that's it. Everyone will be looking at one of those. So if you're like a trader, that's what's gonna determine the dollars going up and down today. If it's positive, the dollar's gonna go higher. If it's negative, the dollar's gonna go down. Same usual, the usual things. And then if I go back to the indexes, right? Everything just rebounded from yesterday. Yeah, everything is back to positivity. Everyone is positive today. As you can see, the S&P 500 is up 1%. Dow Jones is 0.83. The Nasdaq is up 1.1% basically. So with that being said, the S&P 500, right? It's playing around 6,600 to 6,800, right? That's their range. That's where it's playing. And then the Dow Jones is playing 46,500 to 47,000, right? That's their zone. So that's up like 0.8 so far. And then the Nasdaq is playing around like 22,100 to 22,700. So that's what it's playing. So everyone is just basically buying the dip and ignoring the US Iran problems that are happening today. That's what's happening so far, right? And then we have your earnings report. Okay, let me just open that one up. Earnings report is what companies will be reporting in after every 4 months, how much they've made, and are they going to beat the forecast that everyone is predicting to beat. So today it's Lululemon, right? Lululemon, that's going to report earnings. Here we go. Yeah, so we have Lululemon Athletics, and then the other one, if I'm not mistaken, let me just search here. So yeah, man. So they have to beat the forecast, and it has to be green. If it's red, it means that the stock market is gonna go. The stock price is gonna go down. If it's green, it's gonna go higher today. Yeah, but sometimes they don't go. Yeah, sometimes they don't. They go vice versa. If it's green here, then the stock price goes down. For some reason, yeah, man, depends on the situation. So yeah, man, that's Lululemon today. If I'm not mistaken, there should be another one. Let me see here. So far, if we go down here, yeah, there should be more, maybe like small cap companies. Then there's Aspen Group, Coffee Holdings. Oh, then you have these AI company called Latin Pharma. Yeah, man, that's also reporting earnings, like small caps, basically things you've never heard of. Then you have this one, Children's Place, also reporting earnings. It was one of the most shorted companies in 2025, early 2025. Now it rebounds back to positivity. And then that's about it with earnings report and economic calendar. So like that's your basic economics. Then tomorrow on the 18th of March, we have your PPI, factory orders, crude oil inventories, and the most important one, which is the Federal Reserve whispers. So yeah, man, that is it so far. And then we have the bonds. Let's open up the bonds here. Bonds are usually the biggest market in comparison to the stock market. They pull down. They pull it up or down, basically, the stock market. So if the bond market is going higher, the stock market is going to go low because of like the borrowing rate, right? Of whatever loans people took. But yeah, man, so far so good. If it's green like this, it's a positive thing. It's not a bad thing actually. Your 30-year bond now is so what we're looking at here, it's this thing called yield, right? So the yield now on the 30-year is 4.8, the 10 years on 4.2, the 5-year is on 3.7, and then the 2 years on 3.6. So yeah, that's it on the bond market, right? That is positive so far. As long as the 30-year and the 10-year, right, are at 4.2 and 4.8, that's fine. And then as long as the 5-year and the 2-year are below the 4.1, that's good. Everything is Gucci to go. Everyone is Gucci to go. Everyone is happy. And then, so the yield so far, they did go higher since the war started, but nothing unusual happening with that one there so far. And then we have your cryptocurrency. Yeah, man, they made a big turnaround. Bitcoin as well is playing around 72,000. Let me see here. Yeah. So Bitcoin's on 72,000 and 73,000. That's their range. Ethereum is playing around 2,329. Yeah, so someone else, so 2,100 to 2,300. That's the zone, right? So if it goes higher or lower than that, then you know if it's gonna be a bear or bull market. So as you can see here today, we're on 73,800, which is good. Ether is on 2,320. It's up 12%. Ether is on $1. So nothing has changed there. And then XRP is up by 8%. Then you have USDC is down 0.2. Solana is up 0, it's up 7% actually, 7.7. So it's at 93. Then you have Tron, it's up by 6%. Dogecoin is up by 4%. And Hyperliquid is up 18%. And then you have the rest like your Cardano, Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, man. So we just follow the first 10 of that. First 10. I'm not sure why Hyperliquid is up today. Yeah, man. And then the dollar today down is also down today by 0.11%. VIX is down 4%. It's at 22. So no panicking today. Everyone ignored the war. yeah, everyone is just basically ignoring the war. Then we move on to the crude oil, your commodities, something you can feel, touch, and smell. It's not so bad. It's not so bad today. Gold today, it's also up by 0.4%. Silver is up as well by 0.31%. Copper is up. No, copper is actually down, negative 0.90. Palladium is up 1%. Brent crude is up by 1.7%. Crude oil is also up by 1.8%. Heating oil is up by 4%. US coffee is up by 1.5%. US corn is up by 0.2%. And then we have your sugar. Sugar and US wheat, they're down today. Cotton is up by 0.7%, and cocoa is up by 3%. So as you can see there, crude oil went down. It went up actually. It's at 94. Natural gas is at 3. Heating oil is at $4. And then Brent crude obviously is at 101. That's what's happening there in terms of commodities. Something you can feel, touch, and smell. That's one of those. And then if we move on, then you have like one of these things, which is merger and acquisitions. So this is like when a company is buying another company, right? Nothing has been happening there so far. So everything is being pushed by like rumors so far. Nothing hot, nothing interesting to look at so far. And an IPO, they have a company called Swimmer Inc. Swimmer Inc. And then the next one that's happening on the 20th of March is called Guardian Metal Resources. And then another one is called Genevis Living. So IPO is basically straightforward. Companies that are going public for the first time in their life, and they're doing that to raise money. So as you can see, today's the 17th. Here's the Swimmer Inc. releasing. It's going public this Friday. Guardian Metal. And yeah, man. So these three basically. Jonas Living. So 1, 2, 3. Those are the ones that are going public this week. So anyone can buy them. Anyone, literally anyone can just call up their broker and buy them. Yeah, man. Or you can use like your like Robinhood or Interactive Brokers to get those share prices for the first time in your life. That's if you did homework on them. If you know them, did homework on them. Yeah, man, you can make a lot of money doing that. Yeah, man. Overall, it seems that everyone is waiting for the Federal Reserve to cut rates or to keep it as it is. Yeah, man. Everyone is waiting. Everyone has been buying, selling, but they're just waiting for the Federal Reserve's meeting, basically. That's where the bets are on today. Today is the date. Then you have these companies. What's going up today? It's a company called this one, Therapeutics. It's up by 44%. Price is at 6.7. It went even higher, dude. Damn. 44%. It's high today. Therapeutics. It seems like they got a FDA approval or something like that. So therapeutics, yeah. So yeah, they just focus on potent biological designs to treat tumor microenvironment. So yeah, man, it went higher on an FDA approval so far. Look at that shit, bro. So if you had like $100, could have made 1,000 today, bro. Basically. And they also got a bank rating to a buy. So far. Yeah, so far so good on that. Yeah, man, that's one of the companies that is going higher today. There's a lot of these companies, dude. They just pop out of nowhere. I don't even know all of them by heart. They just pop out of nowhere. Yeah, but it's doing so well today. Very, very well. I don't lie. That's oof, 40% in one day. That's a bag, bro. And then we have another one called distribution solution. That's another one that went higher by more than 10% in pre-market. So pre-market is when before the stock market opened. So yeah, man, you had a chance to also buy or trade it. Here's another one, DSGR Group. God damn, came from the dead, dude. This thing was playing around 31, 33. And it went down to 19, 18. Today it's up by 26. Stock price now is at 26. It's up by 35%. Let's find out. They also got a bank rating. Bank rating so far. Let's see acquisitions now. It's just a bank rating basically. I don't know. It's like these banks promote their own things, dude. That's well, that's so weird. Like coincidentally, after a rating they go higher. So this is a specialty distribution company, provides value-added distribution solutions to the maintenance, repair and operation, original equipment manufacturer and industrial technologies market. It operates at Lawson, Test Equity, Genpro Services, Canada branch, Lawson. Okay. Machinery and tools. So they basically just make stuff. Machinery and tools. So yeah, man, that was one of the one that went higher today. And then another one, what's the company? Another one that's been going well this week is called Natural Storage. That's another one. Natural Storage. I'm just looking for the ticker. NST. NSA. NSA. It's been doing quite well so far for a small cap company. Yeah, man, pre-market. Look at this shit. This thing went from 30 to 40 in one day. So now it's at 40, 23. It's up 30%. But it seems that it might go down when the stock market opens in the next hour and a half. Natural Storage Affiliates Trust. There's another one that went higher. It's at $40 basically now. The reason behind this, it was it was a buy. It's one of those buy ratings. It's another rating. Bank rating. It's another one of those. And then another one that went higher is Micron. Micron Technologies. Jesus Christ. Its stock price now is sitting on 441 and 80 cents. It's sitting at 3%, 3.68% higher today, all because of another bank rating. Let's see. Oh, also they went higher on because of the Nvidia meeting yesterday, where the CEO spoke about AI chips. So here, it seems that it supported the stock price for this one as well. They spoke about the volume shipment of the HBM4 memories for NVIDIA chips going higher. So if this one goes higher in relation to NVIDIA, basically, that's another one. And then let's see the losers. Biggest loser. The biggest loser was this therapeutic biotech company called TG. What is it? TD. What? TX. TXD or G. God damn it. Let me see. TXG. There we go. The 10x dramatic. Okay, this is the biggest loser so far. Stock price sitting on 1669. It's down 11%. So a lot of people are drowning the shit out of this one. Oh, so basically this is losing because of competition. They have to compete with companies like NVIDIA and stuff. NVIDIA and the company that just went up now, Micron. So yeah, man, they just losing because of competition. That's another one. And then another one that went down was VNet. It's a EV battery company. So it's also in the like electric car space. Space. Yeah, VNet Group. It went high. It went low today by stock prices now on 9.5, down 9%. Basically, also competition. Bank rating 1610. Oh, they also got a rating downgrade by Bank of America to 1610. Price is now on, no, actually upgrade, but it still went down. No one believed it. Let's see, earnings report as well. Yeah. So earnings report drove that one down. No one cared. They were basically lying, or the management was negative. One of the two. So they have a meeting where they do tell them what's the future, and then people don't believe it, and then they just sell it. Yeah, man, that's it so far. Out of everything, general knowledge. Yeah, generally what's going on now today. And then the biggest story that went higher today was Ethereum. Let me go to that one. Ethereum was one of the companies. No, let me not say just Ethereum. There's a company called Bitmine. This is a company. It's one of the companies that has the biggest Ethereum. It holds the biggest Ethereum so far around the world, right? Stock price is sitting on 23 through to 2339, right? Basically, what happened was in February 2026, they lost a lot of money. They lost, to be exact, $6.6 billion because of what happened was there's a lot of outflows. So a lot of these big hedge funds like BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard, they were taking money out of these Ethereum because they were at that time in February, it was trading around 1,800 to 2,100, right? So it was basically down 50% to 65%. Yeah, man. So starting from let's say starting from last year August, it was down 60%, right? So it was losing money. Then it came up to 6.6 billion, like slowly, bro. Slowly, because of like people were taking out money. To be exact, they took out $8.2 million, right? alone by Fidelity. It was selling like hell. People were selling and selling. I don't know why. The reason behind like people taking out money. Taking out money. The reasoning behind it is not explained why they took out money, to be exact, at that specific time. But yeah, man, Bitmine was losing a lot of money. Bitmine literally lost 6.6 because of this from last year August until February, right? It wasn't like one day. And then we had another seller by the name of Vidal, a small seller who sold 6.6, right? 6.6 million worth of Ethereum dumping, and then everyone dumped, right? Someone saw that, a lot of people saw that, and then it dumped, right? So basically what happened was it was 82 million being taken out in a day, in a few days, right? And then out of the blue, mid-March, 11 mid-March, bro, like everything just came back to place. Everyone reversed. So there was an inflow of 160 million, right? And overall, the big hedge funds, BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard, they all started to invest back into the Ethereum, right? To be precise, 248 million that went back into it. And this was the biggest inflow in let's say mid January, right? And another one, what happened was as well, the real whale who actually bought was a guy named Tom Lee. He's one of the top management at Bitmine. He's also like an analyst on like CNBC. He talks about like predictions. So he bought 61,000 Ether, right? And then he kept on buying. Then he came up to 122,000 in 2 weeks, right? That, if you actually calculate that, it comes up to $4.6 million worth of Ether that he bought in one day. And then in a couple of weeks, I mean to say. So 4.6 million in 2 weeks, right? As that happened, Fidelity stopped taking out money. They started buying in as well as soon as they saw that. And then, so basically how much he bought was like 3.81 billion of the total supply. 3.81% of the total supply of Ethereum in general. So he started basically buying in the dip. And then as another company called ShopLink Gaming also started piling up and buying. And then it reversed. It reversed sharply and then went to 2.3. That's a lot of money. So the institutions that are buying, actually, it's BlackRock, right? BlackRock, Fidelity. It's another popular Wall Street name. Grayscalers and Bitwise. Those are the 4 companies that bought, right? There's more into that. But yeah, man, they bought into that. It reversed. It went even higher. And then as time went by, within the 2 weeks, mid-March, it was mid-March that happened. Yeah, man, this company, Bitmine, it recovered their losses, bro. So that come back to that 2,300, right? If you look at, let's go back to Ethereum. Where is it? Ethereum. Oh yeah, it's here actually. Cryptos. Here's Ethereum. The fuck? So it went to this price here. 2,300. So that's what happened now recently. This is like the biggest news for March. Yeah, man, it went back to this. Fuck, I'm trying to go down. There we go. So it's playing around this 1,900. It was somewhere here, 1,900. Imagine that small move is like fucking 6.6 billion. That's fucking crazy, dude. That's insane. So yeah, man, it made a comeback after losing to that bottom of 1,800. That positive, because of like obviously networking, someone called someone to keep buying, so they doubled down with their largest weekly ether of 2026, basically. Bitmine, that's the biggest whale who bought, pushing it with the flow, and it also made a 13 to 14% up for the stock in general. It's now trading at what, 23, right? Like we saw just now. Yeah, man. So they stole back the losses of that 6.6 on paper. So they lost 6.6 billion on paper, right? And then, man, yeah, man, they came back. Yeah, and they are now up 13%. Yeah, 13%. So imagine like making back that 13%, that 6.6 billion plus 13%. Dude. That's fucking crazy. And yeah, man, that was the biggest news for March so far. Yeah, so far, like the big news, like who made a billion, who lost a billion. That's it so far. I actually also wanted to look at the meeting for Nvidia. Just wanted to hear what he said yesterday. Whoa. Nvidia, the CEO of Nvidia. What is it? Speak. Let me see, speak. Day is here. So this was like one of the biggest meetings. So this one made almost every stock go higher. Literally. Anything that had to do with AI yesterday. Look at today. Like if we were to look at everything here, bro. Damn. The fuck am I doing? Let me see here. As you can see here, like the small cap, the what do you call these? These FANG companies. FANG is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix. What's the other one? FANG, Google, right? Yeah, man, they went higher. Anything that had to do with AI, Nvidia, as you can see today, it's up 0.30, as well as Micron Technologies, Tesla. No, Tesla's down. Senidex is up 1.6%. They make semiconductors. Microsoft went higher. Broadcom went higher, and Meta went higher. So basically, FANG, the FANG, bang, the FANG. That's what everyone calls them. FANG stocks: Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. There's another one that I'm missing, but yeah, you get my point. That's the one Nancy Pelosi bought in January.
The computer industry resets. A new platform shift happens. From mainframe to PC, PC to internet, internet to cloud, cloud to mobile. Each time, the world of applications target a new platform. That's why it's called a platform shift. You write new applications for a new computer. Except this time, there are two simultaneous platform shifts, in fact, happening at the same time. While we now move to AI, applications are now going to be built on top of AI. At first, people thought AIs are applications. And in fact, AIs are applications, but you're going to build applications on top of AIs. But in addition to that, how you run this.
So people were focusing on on this meeting was they just wanted to hear what he's going to improve on in terms of interface and also Blackwell. It's basically what makes the future sales. What you'll be buying if you buy Nvidia. Blackwell is the technology that is used to make the AI technology. So yeah, man, that's what people were looking at, reading about their sales, how much money they're gonna make in 2026, how they're going to improve it, and also a thing called interface. Is it gonna make it better or worse? That's what people were listening into this meeting, and hence why it had like 23 million views, dude. So this is the company that moves anything that has to do with AI in general. They are like the biggest of the biggest so far. Then obviously the Chinese people have their own company. Japanese people also have their company because they don't support American companies. It's against the government law. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, it's against the government law to do that. But yeah, this is the company around the world.
Software, how you develop the software fundamentally changed. The entire five-layer stack of the computer industry is being reinvented. You no longer program the software, you train the software. You don't run it on CPUs, you run it on GPUs. And whereas applications were pre-recorded, pre-compiled, and run on your device, now applications understand the context and generate every single pixel, every single token, completely from scratch every single time. Computing has been fundamentally reshaped as a result of accelerated computing, as a result of artificial intelligence. Every single layer of that five-layer cake is now being reinvented. Well, what that means is some $10 trillion or so of the last decade of computing is now being modernized to this new way of doing computing. What that means is hundreds of billions of dollars, a couple of $100 billion in VC funding each year is going into modernize and inventing this new world. And what it means is $100 trillion of industry, several percent of which is R&D budget, is shifting over to artificial intelligence. People ask, where is the money coming from? That's where the money is coming from. The modernization of AI to AI, the shifting of R&D budgets from classical methods to now artificial intelligence methods. Enormous amounts of investments coming into this industry, which explains why we're so busy. And this last year was no difference. This last year was incredible. This last year, there's a slide coming. This is what happens when you don't practice. 2025 was an incredible year. It seemed like everything was happening all at the same time, and in fact, it probably was. The first thing, of course, is scaling laws. In 2015, the first language model that I thought was really going to make a difference made a huge difference. It was called BERT. 2017, Transformers came. It wasn't until 5 years later, 2022, that ChatGPT moment happened, and it awakened the world to the possibilities of artificial intelligence. Something very important happened a year after that. The first O1 model from ChatGPT, the first reasoning model, completely revolutionary, invented this idea called test time scaling, which is a very commonsensical thing. Not only do we pre-train a model to learn, we post-train it with our reinforcement learning so that it could learn skills. And now we also have test time scaling, which is another way of saying thinking. You think in real time. Each one of these phases of artificial intelligence requires an enormous amount of compute. And the computing law continued to scale. Large language models continue to get better. Meanwhile, another breakthrough happened. And this breakthrough happened in 2024. Agentic systems started to emerge. In 2025, it started to proliferate just about everywhere. Agentic models that have the ability to reason look up information, do research, use tools, plan futures, simulate outcomes, all of a sudden started to solve very, very important problems. One of my favorite agentic models is called Cursor, which revolutionized the way we do software programming at NVIDIA. Agentic systems are going to really take off from here. Of course, there were other types of AI. We know that large language models isn't the only type of information. Wherever the universe has information, wherever the universe has structure, we could teach a large language model, a form of language model, to go understand that information, to understand its representation, and to turn that into an AI. One of the biggest, most important one is physical AI. AIs that understand the laws of nature. And then, of course, physical AIs is about AIs interacting with the world, but the world itself has information, encoded information, and that's called AI physics. AI that, in the case of physical AI, you have AI that interacts with the physical world, and you have AI physics, AI that understands the laws of physics. And then lastly, one of the most important things that happened last year, the advancement of open models. We can now know that AI is going to proliferate everywhere when open source, when open innovation, when innovation across every single company and every industry around the world is activated at the same time. Open models really took off last year. In fact, last year, we saw the advance of DeepSeek R1, the first open model that's a reasoning system. It caught the world by surprise, and it activated literally this entire movement. It's really, really exciting work. We're so happy with it. Now we have open model systems all over the world of all different kinds, and we now know that open models have also reached the frontier. Still solidly is 6 months behind the frontier models, but every single 6 months, a new model is emerging, and these models are getting smarter and smarter. Because of that, you could see the number of downloads has exploded. The number of downloads is growing so fast because startups want to participate in the AI revolution. Large companies want to, researchers want to, students want to, just about every single country wants to. How is it possible that intelligence, the digital form of intelligence, will leave anyone behind? And so open models has really revolutionized artificial intelligence last year. This entire industry is going to be reshaped as a result of that. Now, we had this inkling some time ago. You might have heard that several years ago, we just started to build and operate our own AI supercomputers. We call them DGX clouds. A lot of people asked, are you going into the cloud business? The answer is no. We're building these DGX supercomputers for our own use. Well, it turns out we have billions of dollars of supercomputers in operation so that we could develop our open models. I am so pleased with the work that we're doing. It is starting to attract attention all over the world and all over the industries because we are doing frontier AI model work in so many different domains. The work that we did in proteins, in digital biology, La Proteina to be able to synthesize and generate proteins, OpenFold 3 to understand the structure of proteins, Evo 2, how to understand and generate multiple proteins, otherwise the beginnings of cellular representation. Earth 2, AI that understands the laws of physics. The work that we did with ForecastNet, the work that we did with Cordiv, really revolutionized the way that people are doing weather prediction. Nemotron, we're now doing groundbreaking work there. The first hybrid transformer SSM model that's incredibly fast and therefore can think for a very long time or can think very quickly with that for not a very long time and produce very, very smart, intelligent answers. Nemotron 3 is groundbreaking work, and you can expect us to deliver other versions of Nemotron 3 in the near future. Cosmos, a frontier open world foundation model, one that understands how the world works. Groot, a humanoid robotic system, articulation, mobility, locomotion. These models, these technologies are now being integrated, and in each one of these cases, open to the world. Frontier humanoid robotics models open to the world. And then today, we're going to talk a little bit about Alpamayo, the work that we've been doing in self-driving cars. Not only do we open source the models, we also open source the data that we use to train those models. Because in that way, only in that way, can you truly trust how the models came to be. We open source all the models. We help you make derivatives from them. We have a whole suite of libraries. We call the NeMo libraries, physics NeMo libraries, and the Clara NeMo libraries, each bio NeMo libraries. Each one of these libraries are life cycle management systems of AIs, so that you could process the data, you could generate data, you could train the model, you could create the model, evaluate the model, guardrail the model, all the way to deploying the model. Each one of these libraries are incredibly complex, and all of it is open source. And so now, on top of this platform, NVIDIA is a frontier AI model builder. And we build it in a very special way. We build it completely in the open so that we can enable every company, every industry, every country to be part of this AI revolution. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we're doing there. In fact, if you notice the charts, the chart shows that our contribution to this industry is bar none. And you're going to see us, in fact, continue to do that, if not accelerate. These models are also world-class. Not only are they open, they're also top the leaderboards. This is an area where we're very proud. They top leaderboards in intelligence. We have important models that understand multi-modality documents, otherwise known as PDFs. The most valuable content in the world are captured in PDFs. But it takes artificial intelligence to find out what's inside, interpret what's inside, and help you read it. And so our PDF retrievers, our PDF parsers are world-class. Our speech recognition models, absolutely world-class. Our retrieval models, basically search, semantic search, AI search, the database engine of the modern AI era, world-class. So we're on top of leaderboards constantly. This is an area we're very proud of. And all of that is in service of your ability to build AI agents. This is really a groundbreaking area of development. You know, at first, when ChatGPT came out, people said, you know, gosh, it produced really interesting results, but it hallucinated greatly. And the reason why it hallucinated, of course, it could memorize everything in the past, but it can't memorize everything in the future, in the current. And so it needs to be grounded in research. It has to do fundamental research before it answers a question. The ability to reason about, do I have to do research? Do I have to use tools? How do I break up a problem into steps? Each one of these steps, something that the AI model knows how to do, and together it is able to compose it into a sequence of steps to perform something it's never done before, never been trained to do. This is the wonderful capability of reasoning. We can encounter a circumstance we've never seen before and break it down into circumstances and knowledge or rules that we know how to do because we've experienced it in the past. And so the ability for AI models now to be able to reason, incredibly powerful. The reasoning capability of agents opened the doors to all of these different applications. We no longer have to train an AI model to know everything on day one, just as we don't have to know everything on day one. That we should be able to, in every circumstance, reason about how to solve that problem. Large language models has now made this fundamental leap. The ability to use reinforcement learning and chain of thought and search and planning and all these different techniques in reinforcement learning has made it possible for us to have this basic capability, and is also now completely open sourced. But the thing that's really terrific is another breakthrough that happened. And the first time I saw it was with Ervin's Perplexity, the search company, the AI search company, really innovative company. And the first time I realized they were using multiple models at the same time, I thought it was completely genius. Of course we would do that. Of course an AI would also call upon all of the world's great AIs to solve the problem it wants to solve at any part of the reasoning chain. And this is the reason why AIs are really multimodal, meaning they understand speech and images and text and videos and 3D graphics and proteins. It's multimodal. It's also multi-model, meaning that it should be able to use any model that best fits the task. It is multi-cloud by definition, therefore, because these AI models are sitting in all these different places, and it also is hybrid cloud. Because if you're an enterprise company or you built a robot or whatever that device is, sometimes it's at the edge, sometimes a radio cell tower, maybe sometimes it's in an enterprise, or maybe it's a place where a hospital where you need to have the data in real time right next to you. Whatever those applications are, we know now this is what an AI application looks like in the future. Or another way to think about that, because future applications are built on AIs, this is the basic framework of future applications. This basic framework, this basic structure of agentic AIs that could do the things that I'm talking about, that is multi-model, has now turbocharged AI startups of all kinds. And now you can also, because of all of the open models and all the tools that we provided you, you can also customize your AIs to teach your AI skills that nobody else is teaching. Nobody else is causing their AI to become intelligent or smart in that way. You could do it for yourself. And that's the work that we do with Nemotron, Nemo, and all of the things that we do with open models is intended to do. You put a smart router in front of it, and that router is essentially a manager that decides which one of the tasks, based on the intention of the prompts that you give it, which one of the models is best fit for that application, for that solving that problem. Okay? So now, when you think about this architecture, what do you have? When you think about this architecture, all of a sudden you have an AI that's on the one hand, completely customizable by you. Something that you could teach to do your own very skills for your company. Something that's domain secret. Something where you have deep domain expertise. Maybe you've got all of the data that you need to train that AI model. On the other hand, your AI is always at the frontier, by definition. You're always at the frontier on the one hand, you're always customized on the other hand, and it should just run. And so we thought we would make the simplest of examples to make it available to you. This entire framework we call a blueprint. And we have blueprints that are integrated into enterprise SaaS platforms all over the world, and we're really pleased with the progress. But what we do is show you a short example of something that anybody can do.
Let's build a personal assistant. I want it to help me with my calendar, emails, to-do lists, and even keep an eye on my home. I use Brev to turn my DGX Spark into a personal cloud. So I can use the same interface whether I'm using a cloud GPU or a DGX Spark. I use a Frontier Model API to easily get started. I want it to help me with my emails, so I create an email tool for my agent to call. I want my emails to stay private, so I'll add an open model that's running locally on the Spark. Now for any job, I want the agent to use the right model for the right task, so I'll use an intent-based model router. This way, prompts that need email will stay on my Spark, and everything else can call the Frontier model. I want my assistant to interact with my world, so I'll hook it up to Hugging Face's Reachy mini robot. My agent controls the head, ears, and camera of the Reachy with tool calls. I want to give Reachy a voice, and I really like 11 Labs, so I'll hook up their API.
Hi, I'm Reachy, running on DGX Spark.
Hey Reachy, what's on my to-do list today?
Your to-do list today. Grab groceries, eggs, milk, butter, and send Jensen the new script.
Okay, let's send Jensen that update. Tell him we'll have it for him by the end of the day.
Will do.
Reachy, there's a sketch too. Can you turn it into an architectural rendering?
Sure.
Nice. Now make a video and show me around the room.
Here you go.
That's great. With Brev, I can share access to my Spark and Reachy, so I'm going to share it with Anna.
Hey Reachy, what's Potato up to?
He's on the couch. I remember you don't like this. I'll tell him to get off. Potato, off the couch.
With all the progress in open source, it's incredible to see what you can build. I'd love to see what you create.
Isn't that incredible? Now, the amazing thing is, that is utterly trivial now. That is utterly trivial now. And yet, just a couple of years ago, all of that would have been impossible. Absolutely unimaginable. Well, this basic framework, this basic way of building applications, using language models that are pre-trained and they're proprietary, they're frontier, combine it with customized language models into a agentic framework, a reasoning framework that allows you to access tools and files and maybe even connect to other agents. This is basically the architecture of AI applications or applications in the modern age. And the ability for us to create these applications are incredibly fast. And notice, if you give it this application information that it's never seen before, or in a structure that is not represented exactly as you thought, it can still reason through it and make its best effort to reason through the data, the information, to try to understand how to solve the problem. Artificial intelligence. Okay, so this basic framework is now being integrated, and everything that I just described, we have the benefit of working with some of the world's leading enterprise platform companies. Palantir, for example, their entire AI and data processing platform is being integrated and accelerated by NVIDIA today. ServiceNow, the world's leading customer service and employee service platform. Snowflake, the world's top data platform in the cloud. Incredible work that is being done there. CodeRabbit, we're using CodeRabbit all over NVIDIA. CrowdStrike, creating AIs to detect, to find AI threats. NetApp, their data platform now has NVIDIA's semantic AI on top of it and agentic systems on top of it for them to do customer service. But the important thing is this, not only is this the way that you develop applications now, this is going to be the user interface of your platform. So whether it's Palantir or ServiceNow or Snowflake and many other companies that we're working with, the agentic system is the interface. It's no longer Excel with a bunch of squares that you enter information into. Maybe it's no longer just command line. All of that multimodality information is now possible, and the way you interact with your platform is much more, well, if you will, simple, like you're interacting with people. And so that's enterprise AI being revolutionized by agentic systems. The next thing is physical AI. This is an area that you've seen me talk about for several years. In fact, we've been working on this for 8 years. The question is, how do you take something that is intelligent inside a computer and interacts with you with screens and speakers to something that can interact with the world, meaning it can understand the common sense of how the world works. Object permanence. If I look away and I look back, that object is still there. Causality. If I push it, it tips over. It understands friction and gravity. It understands inertia. That a heavy truck rolling down the road is going to need a little bit more time to stop. That a ball is going to keep on rolling. These ideas are common sense to even a little child, but for AI, it's completely unknown. And so we have to create a system that allows AIs to learn the common sense of the physical world, learn its laws, but also to be able to, of course, learn from data, and the data is quite scarce, and to be able to evaluate whether that AI is working, meaning it has to simulate in an environment. How does an AI know that the actions that it's performing is consistent with what it should do if it doesn't have the ability to simulate the response of the physical world back on its actions? The response of its actions is really important to simulate. Otherwise, there's no way to evaluate it. It's different every time. And so this basic system requires 3 computers. One computer, of course, the one that we know that NVIDIA built for training the AI models. Another computer that we know is to inference the models. Inferencing the model is essentially a robotics computer that runs in a car or runs in a robot or runs in a factory, runs anywhere at the edge. But there has to be another computer that's designed for simulation. And simulation is at the heart of almost everything NVIDIA does. This is where we are most comfortable. And simulation was really the foundations of almost everything that we've done with physical AI. So we have 3 computers and multiple stacks that run on these computers, these libraries, to make them useful. Omniverse is our digital twin, physically based simulation world. Cosmos, as I mentioned earlier, is our foundation model, not a foundation model for language, but a foundation model of the world. And it's also aligned with language. You could say something like, what's happening to the ball? And they'll tell you the ball's rolling down the street. And so a world foundation model, and then of course the robotics models. We have 2 of them. One of them is called Groot. The other one's called Alpamayo that I'm going to tell you about. Now, one of the most important things that we have to do with physical AI is to create the data to train the AI in the first place. Where does that data come from? Rather than, instead of having languages, because we created a bunch of text that are what we consider ground truth that the AI can learn from, how do we teach an AI the ground truth of physics? There are lots and lots of videos, but hardly enough to capture the diversity and the type of interactions that we need. And so this is where great minds came together and transformed what used to be compute into data. Now, using synthetic data generation that is grounded and conditioned by the laws of physics, grounded and conditioned by ground truth, we can now selectively, cleverly generate data that we can then use to train the AI. So for example, what comes into this AI, this Cosmos AI world model on the left, over here, is the output of a traffic simulator. Now this traffic simulator is hardly enough for an AI to learn from. We can take this, put it into a Cosmos foundation model, and generate surround video that is physically based and physically plausible that the AI can now learn from. And there are so many examples of this. Let me show you what Cosmos can do. The ChatGPT moment for physical AI is nearly here. But the challenge is clear. The physical world is diverse and unpredictable. Collecting real-world training data is slow and costly, and it's never enough. The answer is synthetic data. It starts with NVIDIA Cosmos, an open, frontier world foundation model for physical AI. Pre-trained on internet-scale video, real driving and robotics data, and 3D simulation. Cosmos learned a unified representation of the world, able to align language, images, 3D, and action. It performs physical AI skills like generation, reasoning, and trajectory prediction. From a single image, Cosmos generates realistic video. From 3D scene descriptions, physically coherent motion. From driving telemetry and sensor logs, surround video. From planning simulators, multi-camera environments. Or from scenario prompts, it brings edge cases to life. Developers can run interactive closed-loop simulations in Cosmos. When actions are made, the world responds. Cosmos reasons. It analyzes edge scenarios, breaks them down into familiar physical interactions, and reasons about what could happen next. Cosmos turns compute into data, training AVs for the long tail, and robots how to adapt for every scenario. I know, it's incredible. Cosmos is the world's leading foundation model, world foundation model. It's been downloaded millions of times, used all over the world, getting the world ready for this new era of physical AI. We use it ourselves as well. We use it ourselves to create our self-driving car, using it for scenario generation and using it for evaluation, we could have something that allows us to effectively travel billions, trillions of miles, but doing it inside a computer. And we've made enormous progress. Today, we're announcing Alpamayo, the world's first thinking, reasoning autonomous vehicle AI. Alpamayo is trained end to end, literally from camera in to actuation out. The camera in, lots and lots of miles that are driven by itself using human demonstration, and we have lots and lots of miles that are generated by Cosmos. In addition to that, hundreds of thousands of examples are labeled very, very carefully so that we could teach the car how to drive. Alpamayo does something that's really special. Not only does it take sensor input and activates steering wheel, brakes, and acceleration, it also reasons about what action it is about to take. It tells you what action it's going to take, the reasons by which it came about that action, and then, of course, the trajectory. All of these are coupled directly and trained very specifically by a large combination of human-trained and as well as Cosmos-generated data. The result of it is just really incredible. Not only does your car drive as you would expect it to drive, and it drives so naturally because it learned directly from human demonstrators, but in every single scenario, when it comes up to the scenario, it reasons about, it tells you what it's going to do, and it reasons about what's about to do. Now, the reason why this is so important is because of the long tail of driving. It's impossible for us to simply collect every single possible scenario for everything that could ever happen in every single country, in every single circumstance that's possibly ever going to happen for all the population. However, it's very likely that every scenario, if decomposed into a whole bunch of other smaller scenarios, are quite normal for you to understand. And so these long tails will be decomposed into quite normal circumstances that the car knows how to deal with. It just needs to reason about it. And so let's take a look. Everything you're about to see is one shot. It's no hands.
Routing to your destination. Buckle up. You have arrived.
We started working on self-driving cars 8 years ago, and the reason for that is because we reasoned early on that deep learning and artificial intelligence was going to reinvent the entire computing stack. And if we were ever going to understand how to navigate ourselves and how to guide the industry towards this new future, we have to get good at building the entire stack. Well, as I mentioned earlier, AI is a 5-layer cake. The lowest layer is land, power, and shell. In the case of robotics, the lowest layer is the car. The next layer above it is chips. GPUs, networking chips, CPUs, all that kind of stuff. The next layer above that is the infrastructure. That infrastructure, in this particular case, as I mentioned with physical AI, is Omniverse and Cosmos. And then above that are the models. And in the case of the models above that I've just shown you, the model here is called AlphaMayo. And AlphaMayo today is open sourced. This incredible body of work, it took several thousand people. Our AV team is several thousand people, just to put in perspective. Our partner, Ola, I think Ola's here in the audience somewhere, Mercedes, agreed to partner with us 5 years ago to go make all of this possible. We imagine that someday, 1 billion cars on the road will all be autonomous. You could either have it be a robo-taxi that you're orchestrating and renting from somebody, or you could own it and it's driving by itself. Or you could decide to drive for yourself. And so, but every single car will have autonomous vehicle capability. Every single car will be AI powered. And so the model layer in this case is AlphaMayo, and the application above that is the Mercedes-Benz. Okay, and so this entire stack is our NVIDIA first entire stack endeavor. And we've been working on it for this entire time, and I'm just so happy that the first AV car from NVIDIA is going to be on the road in Q1, and then it goes Europe in Q2, here in the United States in Q1, then Europe in Q2, and I think it's Asia in Q3 and Q4. And the powerful thing is that we're going to keep on updating it with next versions of AlphaMayo and versions after that. There's no question in my mind now that this is going to be one of the largest robotics industries, and I'm so happy that we worked on it. And it taught us an enormous amount about how to help the rest of the world build robotic systems. That deep understanding and knowing how to build it ourselves, building the entire infrastructure ourselves, and knowing what kind of chips a robotic system would need. In this particular case, dual Orins, the next generation dual Thors. These processors are designed for robotic systems and was designed for the highest level of safety capability. This car just got rated. It just went to production. The Mercedes-Benz CLA was just rated by NCAP, the world's safest car. It is the only system that I know that has every single line of code, the chip, the system, every line of code, safety certified. The entire model system is based on sensors are diverse and redundant, and so is the self-driving car stack. The AlphaMayo stack is trained end-to-end and has incredible skills. However, nobody knows until you drive it forever that it's going to be perfectly safe. And so the way we guardrail that is with another software stack, an entire AV stack underneath. That entire AV stack is built to be fully traceable. And it's taken us some 5 years to build that, some 6, 7 years actually, to build that second stack. These two software stacks are mirroring each other. And then we have a policy and safety evaluator to decide, is this something that I'm very confident and can reason about driving very safely? If so, I'm going to have AlphaMayo do it. If it's a circumstance that I'm not very confident in, and the safety policy evaluator decide that we're going to go back to a simpler, safer guardrail system, then it goes back to the classical AV stack. We're the only car in the world with both of these AV stacks running, and all safety systems should have diversity and redundancy. Well, our vision is that someday every single car, every single truck will be autonomous. And we've been working towards that future. This entire stack is vertically integrated, of course, in the case of Mercedes-Benz. We built the entire stack together. We're going to deploy the car. We're going to operate the stack. We're going to maintain the stack for as long as we shall live. However, like everything else we do as a company, we build the entire stack, but the entire stack is open for the ecosystem. And the ecosystem working with us to build L4 and robo-taxis is expanding, and it's going everywhere. I fully expect this to be, well, this is already a giant business for us. It's a giant business for us because they use it for training data, processing data, and training their models. They use it for synthetic data generation in some cases. In some companies, they pretty much just build the computers, the chips that are inside the car. And some companies work with us full stack. Some companies work with us some partial part of that. Okay, so it doesn't matter how much you decide to use. You know, my only request is use a little bit of video wherever you can, and the entire thing is open. Now, this is going to be the first large-scale, mainstream AI, physical AI market. And this is now, I think we can all agree, fully here. And this inflection point of going from not autonomous vehicles to autonomous vehicles is probably happening right about this time. In the next 10 years, I'm fairly certain a very, very large percentage of the world's cars will be autonomous or highly autonomous. But this basic technique that I just described in using the 3 computers, using synthetic data generation and simulation, applies to every form of robotic systems. It could be a robot that is just an articulator, a manipulator. Maybe it's a mobile robot. Maybe it's a fully humanoid robot. And so the next journey, the next era for robotic systems is going to be, robots. And these robots are going to come in all kinds of different sizes. And I invited some friends. Hey guys, hurry up. Did you tell R2-D2 you're going to be here? Did you? And C-3PO? Okay, all right, come here. Now one of the things that's really, you have Jetsons. They have little Jetson computers inside them. They're trained inside Omniverse. And how about this? Let's show everybody the simulator that you guys learned how to be robots in. You guys want to look at that? Okay, let's look at that. Run it, please. Isn't that amazing? That's how you learn to be a robot. You did it all inside Omniverse. And the robot simulator is called Isaac. Isaac Sim and Isaac Lab. And anybody who wants to build a robot, nobody's going to be as cute as you. But now we have look at all these friends that we have building robots. We're building big ones. No, like I said, nobody's as cute as you guys are. But we have Neurobot and we have Agibot over there. We have LG over here. They just announced a new robot. Caterpillar, they've got the largest robots ever. That one delivers food to your house. That's connected to Uber Eats. And that's Surf Robot. I love those guys. Agility, Boston Dynamics. Incredible. You got surgical robots. You got manipulator robots from Franca. You got Universal Robotics robot. Incredible number of different robots. And so this is the next chapter. We're going to talk a lot more about robotics in the future. But it's not just about the robots in the end. I know everything's about you guys. It's about getting there. And one of the most important industries in the world that will be revolutionized by physical AI and AI physics is the industry that started all of us. At NVIDIA, it wouldn't be possible if not for the companies that I'm about to talk to. And I'm so happy that all of them, starting with Cadence, is going to accelerate everything Cadence. CUDA-X integrated into all of their simulations and solvers. They've got NVIDIA physical AIs that they're going to use for different physical plants and plant simulations. You got AI physics being integrated into these systems. So whether it's an EDA or SDA, and in the future robotic systems, we're going to have basically the same technology that made you guys possible now completely revolutionize these design stacks. Synopsys. Without Synopsys, Synopsys and Cadence are completely indispensable in the world of chip design. Synopsys leads in logic design and IP. In the case of Cadence, they lead physical design, the place and route, and emulation and verification. Cadence is incredible at emulation and verification. Both of them are moving into the world of system design and system simulation. And so in the future, we're going to design your chips inside Cadence and inside Synopsys. We're going to design your systems and emulate the whole thing and simulate everything inside these tools. That's your future. We're going to you're going to be born inside these platforms. Pretty amazing, right? And so we're so happy that we're working with these industries. Just as we've integrated NVIDIA into Palantir and ServiceNow, we're integrating NVIDIA into the most computationally intensive simulation industries, Synopsys and Cadence. And today we're announcing that Siemens is also doing the same thing. We're going to integrate CUDA-X, physical AI, agentic AI, NeMo, Nemotron, deeply integrated into the world of Siemens. And the reason for that is this. First, we designed the chips, and all of it in the future will be accelerated by NVIDIA. You're going to be very happy about that. We're going to have agentic chip designers and system designers working with us, helping us do design, just as we have agentic software engineers helping our software engineers code today. And so we'll have agentic chip designers and system designers. We're going to create you inside this. But then we have to build you. We have to build the plants, the factories that manufacture you. We have to design the manufacturing lines that assemble all of you. And these manufacturing plants are going to be essentially gigantic robots. Incredible, isn't that right? I know. And so you're going to be designed in a computer. You're going to be made in a computer. You're going to be tested and evaluated in a computer long before you have to spend any time dealing with gravity. I know. Do you know how to deal with gravity? Can you jump? Can you jump? Okay, all right, don't show off. Okay, so now the industry that made NVIDIA possible, I'm just so happy that now the technology that we're creating is at a level of sophistication and capability that we can now help them revolutionize their industry. And so what started with them, we now have the opportunity to go back and help them revolutionize theirs. Let's take a look at the stuff that we're going to do with Siemens. Come on.
Breakthroughs in physical AI are letting AI move from screens to our physical world. And just in time, as the world builds factories of every kind for chips, computers, life-saving drugs, and AI. As the global labor shortage worsens, we need automation powered by physical AI and robotics more than ever. This, where AI meets the world's largest physical industries, is the foundation of NVIDIA and Siemens' partnership. For nearly 2 centuries, Siemens has built the world's industries. And now, it is reinventing it for the age of AI. Siemens is integrating NVIDIA CUDA-X libraries, AI models, and Omniverse into its portfolio of EDA, CAE, and digital twin tools and platforms. Together, we're bringing physical AI to the full industrial lifecycle. From design and simulation to production and operations. We stand at the beginning of a new industrial revolution, the age of physical AI, built by NVIDIA and Siemens for the next age of industries.
Incredible, right, guys? What do you think? All right, I'll hang on tight. Just hang on tight. And so this is, if you look at the world's models, there's no question OpenAI is the leading token generator today. More OpenAI tokens are generated than just about anything else. The second largest is probably open models. And my guess is that over time, because there are so many companies, so many researchers, so many different types of domains and modalities, that open source models will be by far the largest. Let's talk about somebody really special. You guys want to do that? Let's talk about Vera Rubin. Vera Rubin, yeah, go ahead. She's an American astronomer. She was the first to observe. She noticed that the tails of the galaxies were moving about as fast as the center of the galaxies. Well, I know, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Newtonian physics would say, just like the solar system, the planets further away from the sun is circling the sun slower than the planets closer to the sun. And therefore, it makes no sense that this happens unless there's invisible bodies, we call them, she discovered dark matter, that occupy space even though we don't see it. And so Vera Rubin is the person that we named our next computer after. Isn't that a good idea? I know. Okay, Vera Rubin is designed to address this fundamental challenge that we have. The amount of computation necessary for AI is skyrocketing. The demand for NVIDIA GPUs is skyrocketing. It's skyrocketing because models are increasing by a factor of 10, an order of a magnitude every single year. And not to mention, as I mentioned, O1's introduction was an inflection point for AI. Instead of a one-shot answer, inference is now a thinking process. And in order to teach the AI how to think, reinforcement learning and very significant computation was introduced into post-training. It's no longer supervised fine-tuning, or otherwise known as imitation learning or supervision training. You now have reinforcement learning, essentially the computer trying different iterations itself, learning how to perform a task. The amount of computation for pre-training, for post-training, for test time scaling has exploded as a result of that. And now, every single inference that we do, instead of just one shot, the number of tokens, you could just see the AIs think, which we appreciate. The longer it thinks, oftentimes it produces a better answer. And so test time scaling causes the number of tokens to be generated to increase by 5x every single year. Not to mention, meanwhile, the race is on for AI. Everybody's trying to get to the next level. Everybody's trying to get to the next frontier. And every time they get to the next frontier, the last generation AI tokens, the cost starts to decline, about a factor of 10x every year. The 10x decline every year is actually telling you something different. It's saying that the race is so intense. Everybody's trying to get to the next level, and somebody is getting to the next level. And so therefore, all of it is a computing problem. The faster you compute, the sooner you can get to the next level of the next frontier. All of these things are simultaneously happening at the same time. And so we decided that we have to advance the state of the art of computation every single year, not 1 year left behind. And now we've been shipping GB200s a year and a half ago. Right now we're in full-scale manufacturing of GB300. And if Vera Rubin is going to be in time for this year, it must be in production by now. And so today I can tell you that Vera Rubin is in full production. You guys want to take a look at Vera Rubin? All right, come on. Play it, please.
Vera Rubin arrives just in time for the next frontier of AI. This is the story of how we built it. The architecture, a system of 6 chips, engineered to work as one, born from extreme co-design. It begins with Vera, a custom-designed CPU, double the performance of the previous generation, and the Rubin GPU. Vera and Rubin are co-designed from the start to bidirectionally and coherently share data faster and with lower latency. Then, 17,000 components come together on a Vera Rubin compute board. High-speed robots place components with micron precision before the Vera CPU and 2 Rubin GPUs complete the assembly. Capable of delivering 100 petaflops of AI, 5 times that of its predecessor. AI needs data, fast. Connect X9 delivers 1.6 terabits per second of scale-out bandwidth to each GPU. Bluefield 4 DPU offloads storage and security, so compute stays fully focused on AI. The Vera Rubin compute tray, completely redesigned with no cables, hoses, or fans, featuring a Bluefield 4 DPU, 8 Connect X9 NICs, 2 Vera CPUs, and 4 Rubin GPUs. The compute building block of the Vera Rubin AI supercomputer. Next, the 6th generation NVLink switch. Moving more data than the global internet, connecting 18 compute nodes, scaling up to 72 Rubin GPUs, operating as one. Then, Spectrum X Ethernet Photonics. The world's first Ethernet switch with 512 lanes and 200 gigabit capable co-packaged optics scale out thousands of racks into an AI factory. 15,000 engineer years since design began, the first Vera Rubin NVL72 rack comes online. 6 breakthrough chips, 18 compute trays, 9 NVLink switch trays, 220 trillion transistors, weighing nearly 2 tons. One giant leap to the next frontier of AI. Rubin is here.
What do you guys think? This is a Rubin pod, 1,152 GPUs in 16 racks. Each one of the racks, as you know, has 72 Rubins. Each one of the Rubins is 2 actual GPU dies connected together. I'm going to show it to you. But there are several things that, well, I'll tell you later. Well, we designed 6 different chips. First of all, we have a rule inside our company, and it's a good rule. No new generation should have more than 1 or 2 chips change. But the problem is this. As you could see, we were describing the total number of transistors in each one of the chips that were being described, and we know that Moore's law has largely slowed. And so the number of transistors we can get year after year after year can't possibly keep up with the 10 times larger models. It can't possibly keep up with 5 times per year more tokens generated. It can't possibly keep up with the fact that cost decline of the tokens are going to be so aggressive. It is impossible to keep up with those kind of rates for the industry to continue to advance unless we deployed aggressive, extreme co-design, basically innovating across all of the chips, across the entire stack, all at the same time, which is the reason why we decided that this generation, we had no choice but to design every chip over again. Now, every single chip that we were describing just now can be a press conference in all in itself. And there's an entire company who's probably dedicated to doing that back in the old days. Each one of them are completely revolutionary and the best of its kind. The Vera CPU, I'm so proud of it. In a power-constrained world, Gray's CPU is 2 times the performance. In a power-constrained world, it's twice the performance per watt of the world's most advanced CPUs. Its data rate is insane. It was designed to process supercomputers. And Grace was an incredible CPU. Now, Vera increases the single-threaded performance, increases the capacity of the memory, increases everything just dramatically. It's a giant chip. This is the Vera CPU. This is one CPU. And this is connected to the Rubin GPU. Look at that thing. It's a giant chip. Now, the thing that's really special, and I'll go through these. It's going to take 3 hands, I think, 4 hands to do this. Okay, so this is the Vera CPU. It's got 88 CPU cores, and the CPU cores are designed to be multi-threaded. But the multi-threaded nature of Vera was designed so that each one of the 176 threads could get its full performance. So it's essentially as if there's 176 cores, but only 88 physical cores. So these cores were designed in using a technology called spatial multi-threading. But the I/O performance is incredible. This is the Rubin GPU. It's 5x Blackwell in floating performance. But the important thing is go to the bottom line. The bottom line, it's only 1.6 times the number of transistors of Blackwell. That kind of tells you something about the levels of semiconductor physics today. If we don't do extreme co-design at the level of basically every single chip across the entire system, how is it possible we deliver performance levels that is, at best 1.6 times each year? Because that's the total number of transistors you have. And even if you were to have a little bit more performance per transistor, say 25%, it's impossible to get 100% yield out of the number of transistors you get. And so 1.6x kind of puts a ceiling on how far performance can go each year unless you do something extreme, and we call it extreme co-design. Well, one of the things that we did, and it was a great invention, is called NVFP4 Tensor Core. The transformer engine inside our chip is not just a 4-bit floating point number somehow that we put into the data path. It is an entire processor, a processing unit that understands how to dynamically, adaptively adjust its precision and structure to deal with different levels of the transformer so that you can achieve higher throughput wherever it's possible to lose precision and to go back to the highest possible precision wherever you need to. That ability to dynamically do that, you can't do this in software because obviously it's just running too fast. And so you have to be able to do it adaptively inside the processor. That's what an NVFP4 is. When somebody says FP4 or FP8, it almost means nothing to us. And the reason for that is because it's the tensor core structure and all of the algorithms that makes it work. NVFP4, we've published papers on this already. The precision, the level of throughput and precision it's able to retain is completely incredible. This is groundbreaking work. I would not be surprised if the industry would like us to make this format and this structure an industry standard in the future. This is completely revolutionary. This is how we were able to deliver such a gigantic step up in performance, even though we only have 1.6 times the number of transistors. And now, once you have a great processing node, and this is the processor node, and inside, so this is for example, here, let me do this. This is, wow, it's super heavy. You have to be a CEO in really good shape to do this job. Okay, all right. So this thing is, I'm gonna guess, this is probably, I don't know, a couple of 100 pounds. I thought that was funny too. Come on, it could have been. Everybody's going, no, I don't think so. All right, so look at this. This is the last one. We revolutionized the entire MGX chassis. This node, 43 cables, 0 cables, 6 tubes, just 2 of them here. It takes 2 hours to assemble this. If you're lucky, it takes 2 hours. And of course, you're probably going to assemble it wrong. You're going to have to retest it, test it, reassemble it. So the assembly process is incredibly complicated. And it was understandable as one of our first supercomputers that's deconstructed in this way. This, from 2 hours to 5 minutes. %, liquid cooled, 100% liquid cooled. Yeah, really, really a breakthrough. Okay, so this is the new compute chassis, and what connects all of these to the top of rack switches, the east-west traffic, is called the Spectrum-X NIC. This is the world's best NIC, unquestionably NVIDIA's Mellanox, the acquisition Mellanox that joined us a long time ago now. Their networking technology for high-performance computing is the world's best, bar none. The algorithms, the chip design, all of the interconnects, all the software stacks that run on top of it, their RDMA, absolutely, bar none, the world's best. And now it has the ability to do programmable RDMA and data path accelerator so that our partners like AI Labs could create their own algorithms for how they want to move data around the system. But this is completely world-class, ConnectX. ConnectX 9 and the Vera CPU were co-designed, and we never revealed it, never released it until CX9 came along, because we co-designed it for a new type of processor. You know, ConnectX 9, or CX8 and Spectrum-X, revolutionized how Ethernet was done for artificial intelligence. Ethernet traffic for AI is much, much more intense, requires much lower latency. The instantaneous surge of traffic is unlike anything Ethernet sees. And so we created Spectrum-X, which is AI Ethernet. 2 years ago, we announced Spectrum-X. NVIDIA today is the largest networking company the world has ever seen. So it's been so successful and used in so many different installations. It is just sweeping the AI landscape. The performance is incredible, especially when you have a 200 megawatt data center, or if you have a gigawatt data center. These are billions of dollars. Let's say a gigawatt data center is $50 billion. If the networking performance allows you to deliver an extra 10%, in the case of Spectrum-X, delivering 25% higher throughput is not uncommon. If we were to just deliver 10%, that's worth $5 billion. The networking is completely free, which is the reason why, well, everybody uses Spectrum-X. It's just an incredible thing. And now we're going to invent a new type of data processing. And so Spectrum-X is for east-west traffic. We now have a new processor called BlueField-4. BlueField-4 allows us to take a very large data center, isolate different parts of it so that different users could use different parts of it, make sure that everything could be virtualized if they decide to be virtualized. So you offload a lot of the virtualization software, the security software, the networking software for your north-south traffic. And so BlueField-4 comes standard with every single one of these compute nodes. BlueField-4 has a second application I'm going to talk about in just a second. This is a revolutionary processor, and I'm so excited about it. This is the NVLink 6 switch, and it's right here. This switch chip, there are 4 of them inside the NVLink switch here. Each one of these switch chips has the fastest SerDes in history. The world is barely getting to 200 gigabits. This is 400 gigabits per second switch. The reason why this is so important is so that we could have every single GPU talk to every other GPU at exactly the same time. This switch on the backplane of one of these racks enables us to move the equivalent of twice the amount of the global internet data, all of the world's internet data, at twice the speed. You take the cross-sectional bandwidth of the entire planet's internet, it's about 100 terabytes per second. This is 240 terabytes per second. So it kind of puts it in perspective. This is so that every single GPU can work with every single other GPU at exactly the same time. Okay? Then on top of that, okay, so this is one rack. This is one rack. Each one of the racks, as you can see, the number of transistors in this one rack is 1.7 times. Yeah, could you do this for me? So it's usually about 2 tons, but today it's 2.5 tons because when they shipped it, they forgot to drain the water out of it. So we shipped a lot of water from California. Can you hear it squealing? You know, when you're rotating 2.5 tons, you're gonna squeal a little. So behind this are the NVLink spines. Basically 2 miles of copper cables. Copper is the best conductor we know. And these are all shielded copper cables, structured copper cables, the most the world's ever used in computing systems ever. And our SerDes drive the copper cables from the top of the rack all the way to the bottom of the rack at 400 gigabits per second. It's incredible. And so this has 2 miles of total copper cables, 5,000 copper cables, and this makes the NVLink spine possible. This is the revolution that really started the NGX system. Now we decided that we would create an industry standard system so that the entire ecosystem, all of our supply chain, could standardize on these components. There are some 80,000 different components that make up these NGX systems, and it's a total waste if we were to change it every single year. Every single major computer company, from Foxconn to Quanta to Wistron, you know, the list goes on and on and on, to HP and Dell and Lenovo, everybody knows how to build these systems. And so the fact that we could squeeze Vera Rubin into this, even though the performance is so much higher, and very importantly, the power is twice as high. The power of Vera Rubin is twice as high as Grace Blackwell. And yet, and this is the miracle, the air that goes into it, the air flow is about the same. And very importantly, the water that goes into it is the same temperature, 45 degrees C. With 45 degrees C, no water chillers are necessary for data centers. We're basically cooling this supercomputer with hot water. It is so incredibly efficient. And so this is the new rack. 1.7 times more transistors, but 5 times more peak inference performance, 3.5 times more peak training performance. They're connected on top using Spectrum-X. Oh, thank you. This is the world's first manufacturing chip using TSMC's new process that we co-innovated called COUP. It's a integrated silicon photonics process technology. And this allows us to take silicon photonics directly right to the chip. And this is 512 ports at 200 gigabits per second. And this is the new Ethernet AI switch, the Spectrum-X Ethernet switch. And look at this giant chip. But what's really amazing is it's got silicon photonics directly connected to it. And lasers come in. Lasers come in through here. Lasers come in through here. The optics are here, and they connect out to the rest of the data center. This I'll show you in a second, but this is on top of the rack. And this is the new Spectrum-X silicon photonics switch, okay? And we have something new I want to tell you about. So just as I mentioned, a couple of years ago, we introduced Spectrum-X so that we could reinvent the way that networking is done. Ethernet is really easy to manage, and everybody has an Ethernet stack, and every data center in the world knows how to deal with Ethernet. And the only thing that we were using at the time was called InfiniBand, which is used for supercomputers. InfiniBand is very low latency, but of course the software stack, the entire manageability of InfiniBand is very alien to the people who use Ethernet. So we decided to enter the Ethernet switch market for the very first time. Spectrum-X, that just took off, and it made us the largest networking company in the world, as I mentioned. This next generation Spectrum-X is going to carry on that tradition. But just as I said earlier, AI has reinvented the whole computing stack. Every layer of the computing stack. It stands to reason that when AI starts to get deployed in the world's enterprises, it's going to also reinvent the way storage is done. Well, AI doesn't use SQL, AI uses semantics information. And when AI is being used, it creates this temporary knowledge, temporary memory called KV cache. Key value combinations, but it's a KV cache, basically the cache of the AI, the working memory of the AI. And the working memory of the AI is stored in the HBM memory. Every single token, for every single token, the GPU reads in the model, the entire model. It reads in the entire working memory, and it produces one token. And it stores that one token back into the KV cache. And then the next time it does that, it reads in the entire memory, reads it, and it streams it through our GPU, and then generates another token. Well, it does this repeatedly, token after token after token, and obviously, if you have a long conversation with that AI, over time, that memory, that context memory is going to grow tremendously. Not to mention the models are growing, the number of turns that we're using, the AIs are increasing. We would like to have this AI stay with us our entire life and remember every single conversation we've ever had with it, right? Every single lick of research that I've asked it for. Of course, with the number of people that will be sharing the supercomputer is going to continue to grow. And so this context memory, which started out fitting inside an HBM, is no longer large enough. Last year, we created Grace Blackwell's very fast memory, we call fast context memory. That's the reason why we connected Grace directly to Hopper. That's why we connected Grace directly to Blackwell, so that we can expand the context memory. But even that is not enough. And so the next solution, of course, is to go off onto the network, the north-south network, off to the storage of the company. But if you have a whole lot of AIs running at the same time, that network is no longer going to be fast enough. So the answer is very clearly to do it different. And so we created Bluefield 4 so that we could essentially have a very fast KV cache context memory store right in the rack. And so I'll show you in just one second, but there's a whole new category of storage systems. And the industry is so excited because this is a pain point for just about everybody who does a lot of token generation today. The AI labs, the cloud service providers, they're really suffering from the amount of network traffic that's being caused by KV cache moving around. And so the idea that we would create a new platform, a new processor to run the entire Dynamo KV cache context memory management system and to put it very close to the rest of the rack is completely revolutionary. So this is it. It sits right here. So this is all the compute nodes. Each one of these is NVLink 72. So this is Vera Rubin, NVLink 72, 144 Rubin GPUs. This is the context memory that's stored here. Behind each one of these are 4 Bluefields. Behind each Bluefield is 150 terabytes of memory, context memory. And for each GPU, once you allocate it across, each GPU will get an additional 16 terabytes. Now, inside this node, each GPU essentially has 1 terabyte. And now, with this backing store here, directly on the same east-west traffic, at exactly the same data rate, 200 gigabits per second, across literally the entire fabric of this compute node, you're going to get an additional 16 terabytes of memory, okay? And this is the management plane. These are the Spectrum X switches that connects all of them together. And over here, these switches at the end connects them to the rest of the data center, okay? And so this is the Vera Rubin. Now, there's several things that's really incredible about it. So the first thing that I mentioned is that this entire system is twice the energy efficiency, essentially the temperature performance, in the sense that even though the power is twice as high, the amount of energy used is twice as high, the amount of computation is many times higher than that, but the liquid that goes into it is still 45 degrees C. That enables us to save about 6% of the world's data center power. So that's a very big deal. The second very big deal is that this entire system is now confidential computing safe, meaning everything is encoded in transit, at rest, and during compute. And every single bus is now encrypted. Every PCI Express, every NVLink, every NVLink between CPU and GPU, between GPU to GPU, everything is now encrypted. And so it's confidential computing safe. This allows companies to feel safe that their models are being deployed by somebody else, but it will never be seen by anybody else. Okay? And so this particular system is not only incredibly energy efficient, and there's one other thing that's incredible. Because of the nature of the workload of AI, it spikes instantaneously with this computation layer called all-reduce. The amount of current, the amount of energy that is used simultaneously is really off the charts. Oftentimes, it'll spike up 25%. We now have power smoothing across the entire system so that you don't have to over-provision by 25 times, or if you over-provision by 25 times, you don't have to leave 25% of the energy squandered or unused. And so now you could fill up the entire power budget and you don't have to provision beyond that. And then the last thing, of course, is performance. So let's take a look at the performance of this. These are only charts that people who build AI supercomputers love. It took every single one of these chips, complete redesign of every single one of the systems, and rewriting the entire stack for us to make this possible. Basically, this is training the AI model, this first column. The faster you train AI models, the faster you can get the next frontier out to the world. This is your time to market. This is technology leadership. This is your pricing power. And so in the case of the green, this is essentially a 10 trillion parameter model. We scaled it up from DeepSeek, that's why we call it DeepSeek++, a training a 10 trillion parameter model on 100 trillion tokens. Okay? And this is our simulation, projection of what it would take for us to build the next frontier model. The next frontier model, Elon's already mentioned that the next version of Grok 5, I think is 7 trillion parameters, so this is 10. And in the green is Blackwell. And here, in the case of Rubin, notice the throughput is so much higher, and therefore it only takes 1/4 as many of these systems in order to train the model in the time that we gave it here, which is 1 month. Okay? And so time is the same for everybody. Now how fast you can train that model and how large of a model you can train is how you're going to get to the frontier first. The second part is your factory throughput. Blackwell is green again, and factory throughput is important because your factory is, in the case of a gigawatt, is $50 billion. A $50 billion data center can only consume 1 gigawatt of power. And so if your performance, your throughput per watt is very good versus quite poor, that directly translates to your revenues. Your revenues of your data center is directly related to the second column. And in the case of Blackwell, it was about 10 times over Hopper. In the case of Rubin, it's going to be about 10 times higher again. Okay? Wow. And in the case of now the cost of the tokens, how cost effectively it is to generate the token, this is Rubin about 1/10. Just as in the case of, yep. So this is how we're going to get everybody to the next frontier, to push AI to the next level, and of course, to build these data centers energy efficiently and cost efficiently. So this is it. This is NVIDIA today. You know, we mentioned that we build chips, but as you know, NVIDIA builds entire systems now, and AI is a full stack. We're reinventing AI across everything from chips to infrastructure to models to applications. And our job is to create the entire stack so that all of you could create incredible applications for the rest of the world. Thank you all for coming. Have a great CES. Now, before I let you guys go, there were a whole bunch of slides we had to leave on the cutting floor, and so we have some outtakes here. I think it'll be fun for you. Have a great CES, guys.
And cut.
NVIDIA Live at CES Take 4 Marker.
Boom mic. Action.
Sorry, guys.
Platform shift, huh? That should do it.
And let's roll camera.
Shade of green. A bright, happy green.
World's most powerful AI supercomputer you can plug into the wall, next to my toaster.
Hey guys, I'm stuck again. I'm so sorry.
This slide is never gonna work. Let's just cut it.
Hello? Can you hear me? So like I was saying, the router, because not every problem needs the biggest, smartest model, just the right one.
No, don't lose any of them.
This new 6-chip Rubin platform makes one amazing AI supercomputer.
There you go, little guy. Oh, no, not the scaling laws.
There is a squirrel on the car. Be ready to make the squirrel go away. Ask the squirrel gently to move away.
Did you know the best models today are all mixture of experts?
Hey!
Where'd everybody go?
And scene. That was a dope presentation, man. If you like the video, please click like, subscribe. See you on the next one tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching, man. God.